Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Ngolela show. So I traveled to Shanghai, China recently. It was an amazing trip. I loved it. I'm already planning on when to go back, so hopefully that happens sometime soon because there's a lot to see, but I still didn't see everything I wanted. I don't know if my voice sounds different. It's slowly coming back. My voice got deeper and deeper as the week progressed. I loved it. It sounded great like yesterday. But now I think it's going back to normal. So if my voice sounds different, that is why. But I've traveled out of the country a whole bunch of times. But for some reason, this trip, I've received like so many questions about, just wondering what the experience was like. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I will do my next episode about how that trip was, my first trip over there. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So first I was going to talk about just getting over there, period, and the flight. It's like, of course you have to, plan that in advance, but you have to make sure you have the proper documentation, of course, if you travel internationally. Like some countries, you need a passport, of course, but some countries you need a visa, some you don't. So you definitely need one to go to China, and you have to make sure you get everything in time. Just when you're traveling, have it handy, because I would have to pull it out like every 60 feet. Like you go through one thing, you go through another. So just make sure you have all your stuff together and have it somewhere with you. I just held mine, but that was one. Just make sure you have all your stuff together. Also, when picking your seats, if you're one that likes to pick your seat, pick an aisle seat. This is something that I started doing on longer flights. I would always like to pick a window seat because it's nice to lean on, and I love to look out the window and just, gaze, whether, no matter what time of day it is. It's always so pretty to me to look out at the clouds and stuff. But when you're on such a long flight, you have to factor in the time difference. And if you're sitting next to someone, they could fall asleep, and you may have to, you want to get up and stretch, or you have to use a bathroom or whatever the issue is. You don't want to have to tap them, especially if they're like really outstretched. So just pick an aisle seat. I have trouble sleeping on planes anyways. Like I'll doze off for a little bit if I'm tired, like 20, 30 minutes. I've never just full out sleep. So for me, it's just nice to be able to get up and move around at my leisure, because I'm not going to be like, fast asleep. So pick an aisle seat. Also bring your compression gear. I have never had issues with my leg comfort or anything like that traveling, but I've also never traveled for such a long period of time. There are, connections and this and that. And so I wore these compression leggings I have, which are great for blood flow and everything. And I got compression socks for the first time. So on the way back, I only wore the socks and my legs were kind of sore, but I also played an intense game of dodgeball like a day or two before I had left. So I don't know if it was from that or if it was from not having the compression leggings on. Either way, make sure you wear the proper gear, something comfy and something that, you're not going to feel too constricted in. And I usually take my sneakers off or my shoes off. I left them on the whole time. And I was reading actually that when you're on a flight for a long time and, your feet can swell, sometimes you don't want to take them off, your sneakers off, because they could be a hassle to put like on and off. Obviously your feet will go back down to regular size, but I just left mine on, and I made sure I just wore ones that were comfy and I could wiggle my toes and all that great stuff. Also, so when I was over there, the food was really great. I wanted to try a lot of authentic Chinese food. I don't actually eat a lot of Chinese food, period, but I wanted to try a few dishes. So some of the restaurants we went to had really great food. I don't think I had any bad food, but my favorite thing I had over there, which was odd, were the pancakes. I had the best pancakes of my life, and I love pancakes. I love breakfast food. But the pancakes, they were like an inch thick. They were fluffy, a little slightly crispy on the edge, which I like. They had powdered sugar on them, and they were just cooked to perfection. Like my mouth is watering right now, even talking about them. They were so good. And at more than one place, like one place we'd gone to, they were good. But then the fact that the next place was good, I was like, wow, this is like a thing out here. Like they know how to make their pancakes. So that was good. And I was able, since I'm pretty much vegan, I was able to find some vegan dishes. I'm vegetarian, but like semi-vegan. So I'm trying to be 100% vegan, but it just depends. But I'm almost there. But anyways, so I found a Joe's Pizza, and So they had a vegan slices there. Sometimes even when I'm in the US, it's tough to find a full-on pizza that's vegan. I don't like a lot of vegan cheeses. There's only one that I like, but it's not really for pizza. It's for like sandwiches and stuff. This one was just dough, sauce, basil, tomato slices, and it was perfect. Like that's all I wanted. And I was like, yes. So that was really good. A funny thing, actually. So we went to a Haagen-Dazs, and it was like a really nice Haagen-Dazs. Like I didn't realize they had that Haagen-Dazs period had places like this. So we went to the Haagen-Dazs, and so we're asking the lady, what's vegan here? Because I was hoping there was a vegan ice cream, because, most places are getting it. So we ask in Mandarin, and she replies in English, and she was like, water, with a straight face. Oh my gosh, we were rolling. Like I was laughing. I didn't want her to think I was laughing at her. I waited till she kind of walked away. It was like the shadiest reply. But it was funny because she was completely honest. Like, if you want something vegan, we have water. Like, oh my gosh, I can see her. Like, oh, it just made me laugh. I was like, wow, the shade. But she was honest. That's all they had. They didn't have any vegan ice cream. So anyway, there's something for everyone, but it just may take a while to find. So that was actually pretty funny. Also, someone was asking me like a few people actually, this is probably the most popular question that I've received, was if I felt discriminated against, if it's racist, all this stuff. First of all, racism is everywhere. So that's that. No matter where you go, it's going to be there in some way, shape, or form. When I was over there, they were like, were they staring at you? Did they say anything? I was too focused on taking in the experience. Anytime I travel, I'm not focusing on anybody else. Like I'm, with who I'm with, and whatever's going on, that's what's going on. I'm not worried about what everybody else around me is doing. So there was only one time, which was actually kind of funny and sweet, kind of. This guy, I thought he was asking me to take a picture of him and his mom. So I'm like, yeah, sure. And then as I'm like prepping, like I'm taking his phone from him, he's like, no, you and my mom. So I was like, oh, okay. Like this was at the aquarium, and I'm like, all right. Like I thought it was weird, but I was like, okay. I was thinking too, now that I am just saying that, I don't think he thought I was Kelly Rowland, but I've gotten that a lot when I travel, even around the U.S. So I don't know if he thought I was a celebrity. I don't think so, but who knows? That thought just came to mind. And then I take a picture with him and his mom. I'm like, okay, fine. And then I'm like walking away, and he's like, oh, and now one with me. I was like, all right, take a picture with him. And then he's like, oh, you're so beautiful. Where are you from? And I was like, oh, thank you. And I tell him I'm from the U.S. He's like, oh, I'm going to come back with you. And I like chuckled and scurried off. But that was the only thing, really. I didn't really have people staring crazily. Like they may look at you, but even there was one time I had to take a cab by myself just for like a quick little trip. And it wasn't even that bad. I never felt uncomfortable, discriminated against, like disrespected, nothing. Like, so for me, I didn't experience any extreme racism or anything like that. And it is diverse. Maybe not everywhere, but there are places you can go where there are other travelers and other expats. And there are a whole bunch. There was one time we had gone out, and you'd think you were back in the States somewhere out. Like, it was mixed with everyone, and it was just, the music was just a great experience. Actually, two places were like that. One where we were playing dodgeball, and then another place where we had gone. But the dodgeball place, it was called Cages. I wish I took more video of it, but it was pretty much like a sports bar that you'd find in the U.S. or whatever that had games. So it's like a sports bar, Dave & Buster's type of place. And it was great. Everyone was from all over, and it was nice to kind of have a little something that reminded you of like back home. But it was also a reminder that, while places can be very different, there are a lot of similarities still. So you don't have to feel like you're just, out in the pasture or whatever. So it was more diverse than I thought it would be. I get stared at more in the United States than I did when I was in Shanghai. And I got stared at more when I was in like Reykjavik, Iceland. And that was more like really stared at. They were really nice, but it was mostly like intrigued, like, oh, we don't see people like you here ever. So it was more extreme there and more extreme when I'm back in the US than, when I was out and about. So that wasn't too bad. As far as transportation, that's another thing, which was an experience. Now, I always like to take the train everywhere I go. I just prefer taking the train or being on foot. I hardly ever rent a car when I'm traveling, no matter where I am, because I like to experience those types of things. And so the trains, it's one of those, I'm going to get on this train. Like, I don't care how crowded it is, how crowded the train is or the platform. People will push their way onto the train. I had an old lady, this old grandma. I think she was a grandma, so I'm not being mean, but she looked like she could be a grandma. It's push. When I say push, she had to be like 5 feet tall behind me, push her way on, like push me so she could get on the train. And I was never like offended because that's just how it is over there. It's just like, if you've ever been in the middle of Times Square, especially, when it's, almost unwalkable, that's, just imagine that, but on a train. And where people, they push by you or they push you, and it's like nobody bats an eyelash because it's just what happens. So that was an experience, but it wasn't bad. Like, you get on, you get off. It's pretty quiet. Like, no one's yelling at each other. There weren't any fights. It's not extreme. I almost felt safer on those trains than I did in like LA or New York City. But also, as far as transportation goes, a lot of people, ride their bikes or their mopeds, and there are also a lot of cars and stuff. So that was interesting to see the dynamic between the pedestrians, the people on bikes, and on like all of that stuff happening all at once. Like, I never saw any accidents, but they were close, like really close, because they'll be on the sidewalk, on the street, and that's something that's interesting to watch too. It was a little rainy, so we weren't able to go on like the moped or the bikes or anything like that. I wanted to. People were still out. They said, rain schmain, I'm getting on my moped. So that was cool to see too. Like, kids hanging on the back. They're there on their phone, all balanced. I'm like, man, I need to get like you. But that was so that was interesting to see. That was nice. I did a small bit of shopping. I couldn't do too much shopping because I only wanted to bring carry-ons. That's another thing. I just have this, I'm the carry-on queen. You'd be surprised how many outfits I can fit in 2 carry-ons, because I just like to have my stuff with me when I'm like getting on the plane, getting off the plane. Like, I like to have it with me. One time on the way there, I had to switch airports unexpectedly because a flight got canceled. So that just would have messed everything up if I had to track down this bag and get it taken to the other airport. So I'm just like, you know what? This time around, carry-ons only, which also helps me to not shop too much because I only have carry-ons and I have no space. But I almost bought a suitcase, but I didn't. But the malls there, when I tell you, I was told that they're huge, but they are like 10 floors each. No joke, no exaggeration. These malls are enormous with like millions of stores, something for everyone in these malls. And some of them have, a movie theater. You could do karaoke. You could spend all day in the mall and probably not even see the whole thing or experience the whole thing. So that was really fun. And of course I frequented, Forever 21, H&M, my staples. They're different. You could be in New York City and the Forever 21 in Brooklyn is different from the Forever 21 in Manhattan. So they're not the same. So I'm outside the country. I definitely wanted to see what was there. And man, I wish I had my suitcase, my extra one. That's all I'm going to say, because I saw so many things that I liked, but oh well, tear. If it's meant to be, then I'll find it online. And another thing, the language barriers. Someone was asking me, were you able to communicate with people? Like, one, I'll say this. Yes, they speak English. Yes, there are signs in English. Yes, the announcements are in English. Like, it's in Mandarin, it's in different languages. So I would still suggest downloading a translator app, the one that works without Wi-Fi, because it's good to have. So you just download the whole thing prior to your trip. So you can speak into it, type into it, whatever it is, and that's so you can communicate if needed. If you know people over there or wherever you're going, but it's if they can speak the language, great. Or if they have access to these, translators or whatever, even better. So do that. But speaking of Wi-Fi, to go on Wi-Fi, like, I just thought I could turn it on, and I was told, you won't understand some of the things until you're actually over here to see it. And now I'm like, okay, now I get it. You have to get a VPN, which is a virtual private network. You have to use the VPN for your Wi-Fi to work. If not, you're just going to be pretty much just out stranded. So that was an experience, because there were sometimes a lot of the time I was pretty much phone free, Wi-Fi free, besides, taking pictures and stuff. But I enjoyed it because it was nice to really experience it. And I try to be in the experience no matter what I'm doing. I don't want to be glued to my phone the whole time. So it wasn't a huge deal. It's like, why do I care what's going on, in whatever place or online or whatever, when I'm here in a new place trying to experience all these things? So Yeah, that's something. As long as you have your phone, you're good. But it's not just as easy as signing on to the Wi-Fi network. And also, so maybe this is the last thing that I'll mention. So I would just suggest you should be doing this anyway. I do this anyway. You should definitely carry toilet paper or wipes with you, or tissues or something, because I remember there were at least 2 places we had gone to and there weren't even toilet paper dispensers. So I don't know if it was kind of late in the night. So I don't know if everything was if maybe they had those toilet paper stands, those roll stands or whatever. I don't know. But I just say it's good that I'm one of those. I have a first aid kit. I'm one of those people. I have lotions, Band-Aids. What do you need? You need mouthwash? I have that too. That's just how my bag is. So also, I never saw this, but not all the bathrooms have toilets. Some of them just have a hole in the ground. So I never saw one of those or had to use one of those, but it's just something to be prepared for. But just make sure you have everything you need. Carry your passport the whole time. I was never asked for it, but I was advised that it's good to have because you could possibly be stopped and asked for one. Never happened to me, but, just make sure you have those essentials. But that's kind of how my trip was. I don't know. I mean, hopefully other people want to go experience. I love traveling already. If you follow me or know me in real life, you know this. But I'm excited to go again and to just go to other places. This experience was a smidge different than other trips, but I learned a lot. I experienced a lot. I didn't waste the day. I was up. We were at museums. On the train, we were walking around on foot from down long streets, and it was just amazing. If you follow me on Instagram, which if you aren't, why aren't you following me? What are you even doing? You'll see a lot of my videos and pictures and stuff from my trip. And I don't have a travel hashtag, but if you just keep scrolling, you'll see other trips that I've taken. Maybe I should do a travel hashtag. But anyways, I think that's all. I think I touched on everything. What are we doing? How are we time-wise? Oh my goodness, we're almost at 20 minutes. It's 17. Goodness. Okay. Well, thanks for listening. If you want to see how my trip was, of course, go to my Instagram. It's just under my name. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, so you don't miss anything else. And other than that, thanks for listening, and we'll chat again soon. See ya. Hey guys.